I never planned to get married. I definitely never planned to get married to a 7-foot-tall alien princess on a space station made of singing crystal. But life has a funny way of ignoring your plans completely. My name is Marcus Cole, and I am a cargo hauler. That is a fancy way of saying I fly a beat-up old freighter called the Mutt through the emptiest parts of space, delivering boxes to places nobody cares about. I grew up in Chicago. I used to be an engineer. Things happened. Bad things. Now I haul cargo and talk to my ship's computer like she is my only friend. Her name is Thyra 9, and most of the time, she is. The day everything changed, I was delivering a shipment of thermal regulators to a station called Valith Prime. Simple job. Fly in, dock, get paid, fly out. Except Thyra 9's navigation system had been glitching for weeks, and instead of landing at Cargo Dock 14, she parked me at something called Berth Athen 1. The Royal Arrival Berth. I did not know that at the time. I just walked down the ramp, stretched my back, and looked up to find 8 enormous aliens in crystal armor kneeling in front of me. They were Seraphim. I had never heard of them. Nobody on Earth had. They were tall, silver-skinned, and their bodies gave off a faint glow, like moonlight trapped under glass. Their eyes were violet, with horizontal pupils, and their hair looked like it was made of pale light itself. The tallest one pressed his forehead to the floor and said a word that my translator chip turned into radiance. I opened my mouth to say there had been a mistake. Before I could get a single word out, a soft hum filled the air around my head, and my voice just stopped working. I later learned this was a ceremonial protocol. When a royal figure arrives, they are wrapped in a harmonic silence field so that their first words can be spoken at the proper moment during the ceremony. The wedding ceremony. They lifted me onto a floating platform and carried me through corridors that looked like the inside of a diamond. Everything was crystal. The walls sang soft notes as we passed. Seraphim citizens lined the hallways, bowing, weeping silver tears, pressing their hands over their hearts. I waved awkwardly. They wept harder. In a preparation chamber, they bathed me in warm light, dressed me in robes made of something that glowed like a sunset, and placed a golden circlet on my head. This was the voice crown, and it was supposed to translate my words into formal high seraphim. The problem was that it translated everything I said into something grand and poetic. When they finally let me speak and I said, "Listen, there has been a huge mistake," the crown turned it into, "I am humbled by the great design of fate." The attendants around me gasped with admiration and dabbed their eyes. I was in serious trouble. They brought me to a cathedral, grown from a single living crystal. 10,000 seraphim filled the seats, their combined glow turning the whole space into a sea of soft silver light. Music played from somewhere, though I could not see any instruments. The building itself was singing, and there, at the end of a long aisle of polished stone, stood the bride. Princess Alindra Ve Serath was the most extraordinary being I had ever seen. She stood 7 feet tall, her silver skin shifting to pale gold near her cheekbones. Her violet eyes looked right at me, and I saw something I did not expect. She was afraid, not of me, of everything, of this moment, this marriage, this life she had not chosen. I recognized that look, because I had worn it myself 100 times. The ceremony was short. A priest touched our foreheads with a crystal rod, and I felt a warm hum settle into my chest, right behind my ribs. It was the resonance bond. Apparently, our bioelectric fields were now linked. For the seraphim, this was a formal and controlled experience. For me, a human, it felt like swallowing sunshine. And just like that, I was married. The wedding night was the most awkward experience of my life, and I once had to explain to a customs officer on Jupiter Station why I was transporting 40 crates of artificial cheese. Alindra and I stood on opposite sides of a bedroom the size of my entire ship, neither of us speaking. She was formal, stiff, distant. She had been trained her whole life to suppress her emotions. The seraphim considered open feelings to be primitive and dangerous. I could not help myself. I looked at her standing there, so tall and so alone, and I asked, "Are you okay? Like, actually okay?" She stared at me. Her skin flushed pale gold. Later I learned that was a seraphim blush. Nobody had ever asked her that question before. Not once in her entire life. She did not answer, but something shifted in the air between us. The next morning, we boarded a living crystal ship called the Aetheris for our honeymoon. The tradition required us to visit 7 sacred moons and complete a ritual trial on each one. I was quietly terrified. Ailindra was quietly determined, and an old Seraphin woman named Doyen Mereth, who served as Ailindra's guardian, watched me with sharp eyes that told me she already knew I did not belong here. The first moon was called Vaithra, the moon of truth. We had to walk through a crystal labyrinth that could detect lies. Lies made the crystals crack and darken. I was one giant lie. I was not the prince. I was not even Seraphin. But something strange happened. Human emotions are not like Seraphin emotions. Theirs are narrow, precise, easy to read. Mine were a flood: fear, guilt, wonder, confusion, concern for Ailindra, homesickness for Earth. All of it poured out of me at once. The crystals could not sort through it. Instead of darkening, they exploded with color. Bright reds, deep blues, warm golds, colors the labyrinth had never produced in 10,000 years of trials. The priests called it the most emotionally luminous trial in history. Ailindra walked beside me and leaned closer to my warmth without realizing she was doing it. The second moon was Cathara, the moon of endurance. We had to climb a massive crystal tower in heavy gravity while carrying ceremonial stones. The gravity there was stronger than what Seraphin were used to. They were struggling. I was not. I grew up on Earth. Earth's gravity is heavy. My bones were dense. My muscles were built for a harder world. When Ailindra stumbled under the weight of her stone, I reached over and took it from her. I carried both stones to the top. The guards watching could not believe it. No groom had ever done this. Ailindra looked at me with wide violet eyes. You carried both. Why? Because you looked like you were about to fall, I said. That is reason enough. Something changed in her face after that. Something soft and wondering. The third moon was Silith, the moon of song. We had to sing together in a harmonic duet. I could not produce Seraphin harmonics. I did not even try. Instead, I sang the only thing I knew by heart, a lullaby my mother used to hum during summer storms in Chicago. It was simple, it was human, and it shattered every expectation in that crystal amphitheater. Seraphin music is controlled and mathematical. My song was full of aching and longing and love. The kind of music humans make because we feel too much, and we need somewhere to put it all. The crystals around us hummed with new frequencies. Ailindra's voice faltered. She had never heard anything like it. That night, in our quarters, she asked me what the song was about. Storms, I said, and feeling safe even when the world is loud. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I have never felt safe. I did not know what to say, so I just sat with her in the silence, and maybe that was enough. The fourth moon was Dreth, the moon of shadows. We were separated in total darkness and had to find each other using only our bond connection. In that darkness, something happened that changed everything. I tripped and cut my arm on a sharp crystal edge. Not badly, but enough to bleed. Ailindra found me. She was drawn to me not by the calm Seraphin resonance the trial expected, but by the blazing, frantic warmth of my human biofield. I was a bonfire in the dark. She knelt beside me. She saw the blood on my arm. It was red. Seraphin blood is silver. The silence between us felt like it lasted 100 years. You are not Corvale, she whispered. I closed my eyes. No, I am not. I told her everything. The wrong dock, the glitched navigation, the voice crown, turning my protests into poetry. All of it. I waited for anger. I waited to be turned in and locked away. Instead, she looked at me with those violet eyes and said, No one has ever asked me if I was okay before. You did. On the first night. Mirith appeared in the doorway. The old guardian had known from the beginning, and she had a far more dangerous secret to share. The real Prince Corvale had not run away from the marriage. He had been captured and hidden by his own uncle, Lord Sevethar, a powerful man who wanted to control the throne through this marriage alliance. I was never supposed to be anything more than a puppet, and once the alliance was sealed, I was supposed to disappear. We made a decision together. We would finish the honeymoon, keep up the disguise, and gather evidence against Sevethar. We had 3 moons left. On the 5th moon, the moon of feast, I introduced Ailindra to the concept of cooking. Seraphin eat nutrient crystals. They have never experienced flavor. I found ingredients in the ship's garden and made something like a simple stir-fry using alien vegetables and herbs. Alindra tasted it. Real, layered, complex flavor for the first time in her life. She cried, soft, golden tears rolling down silver cheeks. "Why does this make me feel things?" she asked. "Because someone made it for you," I said. "That is what food is supposed to do." On the sixth moon, the moon of memory, we shared our deepest memories through a neural link. I showed her a summer evening by Lake Michigan, the orange sunset, the smell of grass, the sound of my mother laughing, the warmth of sand between my toes. It overwhelmed her. Seraphim memories are visual and sonic. Human memories contain everything: smell, taste, touch, temperature, emotion, all of it at once. "Is this what it is like to be you?" she asked, shaking. "All the time?" "Yes," I said. "It is a lot." "It is beautiful," she said. The seventh moon was the throne moon, where everything came to an end. The final trial required us to stand before something called the resonance throne and declare our bond openly. The throne would read the truth and show it to everyone. Lord Sevethar was there, smiling, confident, ready to expose me and seize power in the chaos. I stepped forward. 10,000 seraphim watched. I removed the voice crown. I spoke in English, my own words, my own voice, and the throne, designed to read truth in any language, carried my meaning directly into every mind in that cathedral. I told them who I was, a human, a cargo hauler from a planet called Earth. I told them about the mistake, the accidental wedding, and every trial we had completed together. Then I told them what Lord Sevethar had done, how he had imprisoned Prince Corvail, how the marriage was a trap, how every beautiful moment on those 7 moons had been built on a lie that Sevethar himself had arranged. The throne blazed with light, not because I lied, because I told the complete, raw human truth, and the throne had never processed a signal that powerful. Human honesty, delivered with human emotion, was more than it was built to handle. Alindra stood beside me and confirmed everything. Mireth presented her evidence. Sevethar tried to order my arrest, but the honor guard, the same soldiers who had watched me carry 2 stones, who had heard me sing a lullaby from Earth, did not move. They chose to believe the throne. They chose to believe me. Sevethar was taken away. Prince Corvail was found and rescued. The alliance was rebuilt on honest terms, and the existence of humans became the biggest discovery in Seraphim history. Weeks later, I stood on the observation deck of the Aetheris, with Alindra beside me. 7 moons hung in the sky like a string of pearls. "You could go home," she said quietly. "The bond can be renegotiated." "I could," I said. A long pause. "But every feeling I have right now is telling me the same thing." "What?" "That I am exactly where I am supposed to be." Her skin glowed warm gold. She took my hand, 4 fingers wrapped around 5. She leaned her head against my shoulder, which was saying something because she had to bend down quite a bit to do it. I stayed. My first message to Earth went out through a long-range beacon the Seraphim helped me build. It said, "This is Marcus Cole, citizen of Earth. Humanity, you are not going to believe this. We have neighbors. They are incredible. Also, I got married. Send spices." Thyra 9, patched into the royal network and deeply pleased with herself, said, "I told you to check the docking coordinates." "Thyra? Yes, thank you." A long silence from the old computer. Then, very quietly, "You are welcome, Marcus." I looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere out there was Chicago, and Lake Michigan, and summer storms. I missed it. I would always miss it. But I had found something I never expected to find, in the cold dark between galaxies. I found home.